Hello, everybody. Hello, viewers. Welcome to another episode of Tolu Dialogues. In our series of Breaking Barriers, where we've been talking to solopreneurs that have gone over and beyond in bringing their dreams into reality, I have with me a very dear friend who is an interior design strategist. She also happens to be the principal designer at House of Banstead. She's a speaker and also a consultant. Please join me as I welcome Funmi Ade-Ojo to the set. Hi,
Hi, Tolu.
Funmi. How are you, my darling?
I'm doing great.
It's good to have you. This is long overdue, isn't it? We've been talking about this for the past, since even before Tolu Dialogue started. So it's really good to have you on the set today and to be in this beautiful space.
Thank you.
Which has been put together by Funmi.
Thank you.
So let's jump right into it. So Funmi, I'm sure, well, for me, is your why? As in, why House of Banstead? What inspired you, to start House of Banstead? And also, is there anything in your background that's influenced your branding of the House of Banstead or your personal branding for that matter?
So I'm going to break your entire question because we go way back. So it's so awkward to say the why because you know where Banstead is. You actually know where Banstead is. You know where Banstead exists. So Banstead, the name Banstead comes from a little village in Surrey that Tolu has been to many times or knew where I lived at the time. And Banstead just represents the idea of home, the idea of placemaking, the idea of storytelling, the idea of origin and the essence of who one is.
And for those that wonder where Surrey is back in United Kingdom.
Surrey is in the UK.
Surrey where?
She knows it very well, but yeah. So you are part of that story actually. And which you know, but it is essential to what I do. Just going back to the basics, to going back to what home feels like. And it's simply at the heart of what home should feel like, what calm, delight, fun, joy should feel like.
And that is what we're hoping to bring into people's spaces with the House of Banstead.
Absolutely.
So to the second question, so do you feel, or how has your background influenced your personal branding? Because, we go on House of Banstead now or Funmi.Ade-Ojo on Instagram, and we can see you how you've morphed into who you are today as a principal designer of House of Banstead. So anything in your background has influenced that, aside from what you just said about, Banstead as a place, but any other thing in that space?
So I'm a scientist at my core. I'm a scientist, I'm a creative, and I happen to also have a child who's on the autism spectrum, who's a special needs child, as I call it. I call it exceptional needs. And for me, it's at that intersection where you need your home to be home, but you need to be functional. You need it to work for every single member of your family. And that was huge and important for me because I come from a complete science background, a science chemistry background, as you know. And for me, it's like, how do you? I just occupy that special place where I can bring the technicality of science, the methodology of science, but the creativity and the flexibility of creativity and art. And also because I'm coming from a place of love. So I do have an initiative called Transforming Love to Design, I call it. And that's huge for me because that's at the essence, the fundamental part of what humans want. You want people to understand you, to make you feel at home, because that's the essence of who you are. Identity, culture, religion, whatever is important to you is what I bring to the table. For my child who's on the autism spectrum, who's exceptional, and also for people, my clients. So it's the overriding factor. It's what I live by, my design philosophy.
And that's very interesting to hear. And I know this as well because I know you're very involved in everything you do, even from you going to SCAD, and I know that was a big deal for you as well, like taking out time to make sure that you're bringing the best, always putting your best foot forward. So I'm sure for people out there, which I know, I was saying to you that recently I traveled somewhere and someone was talking about House of Banstead. Like, oh, it seems like it's for a certain, you know, clientele. So my question to you, is that a myth or is that a situation?
So the truth is, interior design, I would say, is for the nuanced clients, I say. Not necessarily the wealthiest, not necessarily those who have the most money, but the people who desire more from their space. So whoever that is, whatever their budget is, we meet you at that point.
You've heard.
So it's not necessarily how much money you have, it's how much you want from your space. So it's the audacity for you to ask for your space and where you dwell to rise up to what you need it to rise up to. So it is what we do. So whatever you need in your space is what would aspire to help you accomplish. So it's not necessarily about your budget. I don't like to say, oh, it's a high-end service or a mid-range service or a low-end service or a budget service. It's not, it's none of those. It's about how much you feel you need in your space, how much you feel you're willing to invest into your space for what you need. And we go above and beyond. Simple. Full stop.
Mic drop. We go above and beyond, and I know because you've done my space, and I know budget was a big deal for me because I like this. I don't want to spend a lot, and we stuck to it, and it was beautiful. And I know all the people that you've worked with. So speaking about that in terms of transforming people's spaces, so my question to you, the next question I'm thinking, some people probably thinking the same thing is, how do you do this? How do you help people transform that space? So you've spoken about the science behind the love, the background, the passion, the the intellect behind it, the research. But how do you really do that? How do you bring it to life for people?
I do that simply through research. I do that through research. I do that through listening to you. It's sometimes as simple as, what do you want, Tolu? What do you want? How do you want to feel in your space? The difference that I would say I do beyond what you would do for yourself is that I challenge you to look beyond, oh, I don't like black. I don't like a certain kind of furniture. So I'm just going to ask you, how do you want to feel within your space? And then I literally curate the space that makes you feel what you want to feel.
So that's powerful. So, there's a difference between the feeling and the difference between the aesthetics where you're thinking, oh, I know I want like a fountain in my house.
Yeah.
But then I may actually have the fountain because I've seen it in someone else's house, but not necessarily get that same effect I want. So it's about,
not work for
so
you.
yeah, so it's coming from that centered place of wellness. How do you want to feel? What do you want to experience in your space? Ah. So that will not influence the other things. Just speaking, speaking. So so before I ask about your challenges, there's this war between interior designer, no interior architect, no interior architect, interior decorator, no interior decorator. It's not really a difference for me.
There's a huge difference.
Okay, tell us. What's the difference?
It's one of my pet peeves. It's one of my life's mission for people to understand the difference. I am not an interior decorator. I do interior decoration and styling, but that's not the essence of what I do. It's what I've spoken about multiple times. Interior decorators do amazing work. I have an MFA in interior design, which means I go above and beyond your decorating. So I'm not only looking at your furnishing and your rugs and your cushions. I'm looking at the essence of your home, your programming. Programming is basically how you want to apportion your space, what you want to do on the interior of your home. So I'm moving walls for you. I'm creating spaces that didn't exist. I'm creating furniture that didn't exist. I'm doing custom furniture. I'm thinking about anthropometrics. I'm thinking about ergonomics. I'm thinking about how comfortable your furniture is. I'm thinking about circulation. I'm thinking about the way the sun falls. Are you north facing, east facing? I'm thinking about enhancing your experience within your home, which is a bit more than what a decorator concerns themselves with. I'm not an architect, of course not. Architecture is completely
Another
different.
world. Yeah.
I'm an interior designer, I own it. And what I do with my interior design is I think about the way the environmental psychology of it affects your space. I'm thinking about your access to greenery, like what you see on the outside of your home, how it makes you feel, how, the simple things, the materiality, what you choose within your home, whether it's porcelana, marble, quartz, how they all affect what you want to do in your kitchen. It's really that simple, and they are all different. All those things I mentioned are different. The wall facade, the color of your home, the white against the beige, the gray,
Okay.
the yellow, the green.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So that leads me to my next question. And I know a lot of people, which I've heard, will talk about let's design. We would like to break down our house. That's something you've done in terms of helping people achieve that, helping people transform in terms of getting a property, bringing it down. So I'm sure there are people, so people watching thinking, is that something? To some people, it's a dream, and I need to be in a certain level or societal space to be able to achieve that. And to some people, it's I just need to know someone like Funmi to be able to achieve that. So my question to you now, and for someone watching, is how easy is this dream to achieve in terms of, because this is something you do, so a lot of people do back home in Nigeria or wherever they've come from, where you just buy a land and you build a house, and it just seems easy. But here, my question is, how easy is it to do that? And if it's not easy, for anyone that's thinking, I really want to build my house from scratch, or I want to reform, can you just give some context around what it entails, what people should look at if they want to, or help guide that dream or vision that they might have?
So I'm gonna unbiased. I think building or doing a major renovation comes with a lot of its own challenges. I won't say it's the easiest thing to do, but I find that it's actually not the hardest thing to do either.
That's
So
what I
what I feel people should challenge is, if you have I would wish more people consulted their, just go into their money and find out, can I really afford this? And what I find is most people can. Anyone who can buy a certain amount of house in Canada today technically can afford to do a renovation if they financed their house differently. So it's just a different way of thinking. It's not necessarily a more expensive way or a harder way. It's just that you have to have
the right information.
the right information, you have the right team to help you and guide you through the process. It's not easy, but it's certainly not
Unachievable.
unachievable.
Is achievable. So
Absolutely.
you've heard, because I've had a lot of conversations like, no, you have to live in a certain area. I'm like,
No,
but it's good to hear that you just need to speak to
it's
the right
about
people.
consultation, yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's good to know. So what are your challenges for me? Because you've made it sound really easy. All I have to do is go to SCAD, get MFA, and then I'm done. So what are your challenges?
My biggest challenge is what you already mentioned about how people think interior design is unachievable, it's beyond their scope. And interior design is a luxury service, I must say. Luxury because most people are focused on getting the house. And when they get the house, they spend all of the money getting the house. And then it's like, I don't have any money to do anything else, which is completely understandable. But above and beyond that, if you do get the house, if you do find yourself at a point where you are willing to make your house what you want it to be in all of its entirety, then at that point, you should actually get an interior design service. Not an interior decorator only, because interior decorators do an amazing job. Not to say they don't, but interior designers like myself actually do more because we can help you put value into your house. I'm gonna say that again.
Yeah, I know. I know
Help people
because the
value
other day
it.
we're talking about tabletops, and I was
Yeah.
like, it doesn't matter. Like, no, you actually just changing your floors can automatically increase the value of your house. But
Absolutely.
the kind of flooring you have, or the
Yeah.
kind of um, tabletop you have. So
Absolutely.
it's about having those
It's
conversations.
about having those conversations, and those conversations come with an interior designer who might not charge that as much as you think they're going to charge. So, what I encourage people to do is just find out. Don't assume. Don't think it's beyond and above your scope. Just find out.
Okay. So looking at how, like I said, I keep talking about how you're thriving and how you're morphing into this beautiful self.
Thank
And
you.
and I know all the hard work that's gone into what you're doing because, like I said, I know you personally. Yeah. What advice will you give your younger self if you're to give your younger self an advice 10 years ago? What advice would you give your younger self? Because I'm hoping, and the reason why I'm asking this question, by the way, because I'm hoping that there's someone that sits in there that probably has passion for interior design. I'm probably thinking, oh, maybe I can't, maybe I shouldn't. I can't, I don't have to go to school. I can't go to school. So I'm thinking, knowing what you know now, being where you are today, 10 years behind, what advice would you have given yourself?
I think for me the biggest one is just have the courage to do what you think has been deposited in you. Because what I find with many of our talents, whether it's interior design or whatever we do, any creative or even medicine, as you know, I feel you already know. You kind of, there's a baseline of knowing. So for me, it was always wanting to reorder spaces. You've known me for years. So when feng shui was what then when we were in school. Oh, it's supposed to be feng shui. Yeah, even when I didn't know even when I didn't know what feng shui, when I didn't even know what feng shui was, I was speaking. So my point is, even then, when I went on to do chemistry, I did, accounting, and I've worked in the financial services. What I found is there's always been a knowing of wanting the home to be bigger for people, to help them be centered or anchored or feel like the essence of home is there. And it's like an underlining philosophy that I still have, even in my own home. So I'm an ambivert. Like I'm an introvert. I'm also a bit extroverted, but I love my house. My house is it for me.
You should love your house. I love your house.
My house is it for me, and I think everyone deserves that. Your house should be it for you, whether you like to party all the time or you don't. Your house should be where you feel calm, delight, and just peace. You should not have to second guess that. You shouldn't. It's something that you should have. So for me, it's always been part of my mindset in some way, even before I went to design school. So for those people you're talking about, it's about kind of digging into just the base of what you want to do, what do you want people to feel. For medicine, it's about healing people. It's about getting to a place where they're healed, they feel like, they're healthy. For me, it's about the home. It's about how you feel within your space. And I think everyone knows that. Like for financial people, it's about financial security, feeling like, you have money and I can account for every cent that I have. So I think you kind of know, but you have to go to the basics of what that is.
So what you'd have done better or differently would have been
I,
going to chemistry,
I would
accounting,
have
just
gone
go
to
straight
I would have gone to design school.
Okay.
Either even maybe architecture, maybe, or design school faster, or some kind of creative real estate consulting or anything within that real estate environment that allows me to do what I do now.
So if you're there thinking, I've been thinking of doing that thing that people would tell you you're good at, that thing that comes naturally to you. If you're thinking, I need to move out, I think just step out because you're still going to do like a full circle to doing that either as a side also as your main gig. So for me, listening to you talk about how you're juggling all this, being a mom, being the principal designer, helping people transform their spaces. How do you juggle this with your personal life? How do you have a work-life balance as a solopreneur, and also I would like you to also highlight on like your wellness, as in how do you keep all that intact, looking all good and put together.
Thank you. Thank you. First off, I'm gonna have to dedicate this one to Yemi Shobowale, the husband of life. She knows the husband of life. But yeah, he's made it really easy, to be honest. He's made it not as difficult to balance. It is still challenging. I'm not gonna lie. It's not easy to have three kids, one who's on the autism spectrum that you have to worry about. You do need to, like, I got nannies at some point and I used family like yourself.
No comment.
So we're gonna keep it real. So she's my kid's auntie.
Yeah, that.
She's my kid's nanny and auntie. She's my kid's auntie, and she's been awesome. And she's one of many amazing aunties who have made it easy. And of course, my husband has made it easier. But even then, I've had to get nannies in the past to look after my kids. But beyond and above that, if you can't get nannies, I would say it's just about
Community.
community, scheduling with your spouse, and just making it work. Your kids are kids. They can't stay at home by themselves. So you're either going to get family or someone who knows them well, or your spouse who's willing to put in the time, or the aunties and the communities who are willing to do what, is honestly amazing to help. So yeah, in terms of well-being, I believe in self-care. You cannot give what you do not have. If you're burnt out and done, you will be a horrible mother. So I do schedule self time. I love to do spas. I travel. I do a lot of solo travel.
She does a lot. Really.
I do a lot of solo travels for work. So what I usually do is I do work and solo travel together. So where I go for work, but then I get time that I do what I like to do, which is to see amazing places and just get my me time. Self-care is super important. I do not mess with that. I like to travel. So traveling is a form of self-care for me. So I travel to find out about trends. I'm big on finding out what the product designer in me and the interior designer in me. I want to know what's happening. So I travel all over Europe a lot, and I tend to draw inspiration from that. But beyond that, I also use those opportunities to find time for me. So spa days, I think for me, days where no kids are around. I actually asked my daughter the other day, I was asking her, what do you think my love language is? And she told me, she was like, oh, mom, I was like, do you think I like gifts? She was like, no, I don't think you like gifts. You like alone time. She literally told me this just yesterday or the day before. So it dawned on me, I was like, oh, I didn't even know it was a thing with me. So yeah, I do like alone time where I recharge. I get back into my creativity. I get into that zone where I can just get more. So that's self-care for me.
Okay, that's good. So you can't be to be just look after yourself. Like you said, it's what you have that you can give. So if you have nothing, then you can give nothing, just frustration and anger. So the last question for this episode. For me, where do you see House of Banstead in the next 5 years?
So I'm going to go the Nigerian way and prophesy. We are going to be a multi-million-dollar studio.
Amen.
Catering to celebrities,
Yo.
A-listers, plus normal people. So we're not cutting out the normal peeps. But yeah, but honestly, I see my craft elevating because I am very serious about my craft. I do not play with it. I want to bring value. So I'm not gonna just take people's money and not deliver. So for me, it's about constantly reinventing, making connections with the people who would help me to get to that level. So for me, it's about just creating more. And product development is a huge part of what I'm trying to do. Bringing products that not only elevate spaces from an aesthetic point of view, but from a functional point of view. So I want to see more Funmi Ade-Ojo House of Banstead products in your homes where you're using them actively and they look pretty and they're a thing. So that's huge for me.
So how can people access House of Banstead, your services, and what sort of services do you offer?
So I offer full, they call it turnkey services, like from the beginning to the end for custom builds. If you're building a home in the GTA, in the USA, I can help you with that. And for people who are doing renovations or even just interior design styling, styling is what I call when either you want to put your house on the market and you want to find impact. I call it quick impact, like no drama, no drama impact. Like if you wanna your house to look a little nicer for your listing and or for Airbnb, we do that too. Or for just a smaller budget and you really don't wanna go crazy, we do that too. And of course we do most of our work is in the residential custom build or major renovation sector. But we like to tell people that we do smaller projects and it's fine because we just want you to feel at home in your space. So
yeah, and if you just bought a house and you just want to do it up, you can still
yeah, if you just
without
wanna do
breaking
your
walls.
house, yeah,
I just
you
want to
don't want to
style
break
it.
walls, but you want it to pop.
Yeah.
So we are the kings of making things pop. So we meet you at your budget point. Rather than think, oh, I can't afford it, I challenge you
To consult.
to consult. I mean, just call us and find out, and then you know whether you can't or cannot. I mean, you can or cannot, but don't assume because honestly, it is not it's not that deep, as they say.
Yeah.
And then you also asked about the like what we do in terms of
How can people actually access your
find us.
services? Yeah.
So we go on www.houseofbanstead.com. That's our website. We have a lot of our projects on there, what we're doing, what I'm doing as the speaker, like consultant and interior strategist of House of Banstead. And also find us on Instagram. And I have this amazing resource where I'm on YouTube as well as Funmi Ade-Ojo, where I talk about my strategies, what I do for the homes that I have designed. So everything along the lines of sustainability, environmental psychology, inclusivity for neurodiverse individuals. I talk to those points and they're really dear to me. So, yeah, just get to know us. Call me 647-949-2526 or just go on my website or Instagram Funmi Ade-Ojo. Yeah, and just get in touch.
Thank you very much. I'm going to have all the details in the bio under this video. And yes, please follow, like, share Funmi Ade-Ojo on YouTube.
Thank you.
Funmi, thank you very much for coming. And I'm happy we finally got to do this after so many talks. Thank you for coming on Tolu Dialogues. And yeah, I'm happy you're here today.
Finally here.
And I'm hoping that this brings value to your business as well. And
Absolutely.
people know that you're just fantastic at what you do. Not because I know you, because I know your craft and I've experienced the services that you offer because you pour your heart into it.
Thank you.
For me, so there's something we do on Tolu Dialogues, which is like a little chant after our interview. So are you ready for your chant?
Yeah.
Bring it on. Ready, steady, go. Tolu Dialogues,
Inspire,
empower,
elevate.
elevate.
Thank you.
So that's all for now. Till next time, like, share, follow us on YouTube, linked below. Thank you.
Thank you.